take it slow. Who cares where we gotta be? You know you'll have a good time wherever you're with me. Every time we say goodbye, they all see that it's a lie. 'Cause we always give it one last try. Yeah, you've watched me break 1,000 times. Now I'm all alone, 'cause you never show. You say you will, but then you don't. That's how it goes. Don't wanna know. I'm turning off my mind so I get by. I just wanna be happy, happy tonight.
It's 5 o'clock. I'm gonna hang out. What's up, everybody? Let me turn down this music. What's up, everybody? We're just hanging out. We got about 10 minutes before Space Ghost gets here, so we're just gonna chill. What's up, everybody? Holy cow! Who do we got in chat here? We got Bird, we got Bolby, Stevenator, Gerg. Dude, Gergie's in here, man. Gerg made it in chat today. What's up? Triton's here. Oh my word, man. Third Ra, Prof Palms, PPO Pie. Nice. What's up, Gerg? This is the place to be on a Tuesday evening. It appears so. At least if you're a nerdy gamer in Collegiate Esports, this is the place. Finally free to see the show. Dude, I'm glad you're here, man. I am so glad you're here. C. Giles Z. First time chat. I appreciate everyone. Collegiate salaries equals UTD coach tweet. Yeah, that's might have sparked the conversation. Can't wait for this to blow up to partner numbers. For partner. Well, we'll see about that. I don't expect that to happen. Partner's like 75. I think we hit 30 last week, and that was the first one, so like people got excited. University of Texas McDonald's. Thank you for following. Oh my god, Mrs. Lucifer's in here. Guys, Lindsay is in the chat. I know her too. You've been enjoying Twitter? I would too, man. Everybody's got your back. But also, yeah, that's fair. UT fast food. Thank you for all the follows. Bull Skunk, Vanta Zach 1. Dude, I love this overlay. Yes, okay. All my branding and overlays and all that was designed by a student at Aquinas College. He goes by Lemon, Andrew Vinavich. They are the Florida Southern colors. So yes, they're patriotic, but they're also the Florida Southern colors. So yeah, I got all sorts of stuff. I got this duo thing when Space Goats gets on. I've got a little nice special thanks for him that I actually designed off of his stuff, but it's pretty awesome. I'm a big fan. Big fan. Dude, for real, thank you for hanging the other day. Dude, it was awesome. It was awesome to see you and Chris. You guys are so cool. Cat cam. Yeah, I got this cat right here. Here, cat cam. I should throw her on the cat tree. But this is Olive. This is one of my cats. Hi, Olive. Doesn't really like me picking her up and showcasing her. Do a cat cam. The problem is these cats never are where they need to be. Like anytime I'm streaming, they're never in the cat tree. They're in the cat tree in the morning when I'm not on stream. But yeah, what will be the developing caster talent? I want to talk to Space Ghost about some of the advice she might have for developing talent, because everyone who's leading a program probably has a student who's got talent, because there's no way little old Aquinas has this hotbed of caster talent that was just mistakenly found. Just happened to be at the same school. There's things that we did to empower students and get them to where they wanted to be. But I want to have that conversation. It's like, how do we arm other directors to do the same thing? So I'd pay Lemon. I paid him. I did pay him. Everyone, if you've got students doing stuff for you, don't ask them to do it for free. That's garbage. All right? Pay them. I paid him to do my last overlays 2 years ago, and then I paid him to re-up it and make some extra ones. So we do have a ton of casting. Yes, bro, you haven't even called me. Are you the 616 number? Wiki in chat? Is Wiki in chat? Oh, he is. Are you screening my calls? Oh, man. CP Graham, director or head coach. Who cares? We know what you do at Davenport. When we talk about coaches and directors, we know what we're talking about. Over at Davenport University, we got Coach Wiki in chat. He's the director over at Grand Valley State, West Michigan. We've got Coach Bird, who's helping out at Kennesaw State. He's a student there, also running their Overwatch situation. We got Mrs. Lucifer, who is an awesome personality in the space. New interview talent. Catch her on the next pro streams coming in hot. Engaged to the wonderful Chris Postel over at University of Cincinnati. We got Gerg. Everybody knows who Gerg is. Obviously. Chu's in chat. We see the director of St. Louis University. That dude is one heck of a guy. JKK, what up? Great to see lots of familiar names. Yeah, this is like, it's all the people I've met before. We got all sorts of awesome people. Warhood's in here, meeting done. Asking how everyone's doing. We got Bolby RL yelling out Savage because I forgot to mention they're in the chat. So many people. We got Chris is in the chat. He said he wasn't going to be here, but he is in the chat. Chris Postel, it's WBB, the dude behind Esports Foundry's data and their research in the space is unbelievable. If you're a director in the space and haven't gotten Esports Foundry's spring 2021, I think is the latest that's officially published. If you haven't gotten that information, you better go reach out to them. Check out their website. I think you can request it with just an email. Josh from Bytespeed. That's who JKK is. Josh from Bytespeed, former director of a college program, now helping schools as the VR and esports specialist up at Bytespeed Gravity Gaming. That's awesome. When is gossip time? Gossip time will begin. Don't you worry. Don't you worry. Oh, it's getting rowdy. Yeah. Gerg is too cute for Collegiate Esports. That's why he left. That might be fair. Stay-at-home dad. Yeah. So many important people. Psh, whatever. Man, I appreciate everyone stopping by. We're going to give Space Ghost a couple more minutes. I don't want to dive into anything. I know Collegiate Salaries is going to be way longer of a conversation than the other two, most likely. And I don't want to start that conversation and then Space Ghost come in like halfway through. So, DU Archon's in here. We got Drury University's very own Michael Jones. He's in chat. Triton is a former collegiate player from Grand Valley. Now doing some cool stuff in water treatment or something. Man, that's way beyond my big brain for me. Too big brain. Oh, yeah. Wow, we got some cool people in chat today. Got some cool people. Space Ghost works from home. She said she had to get things prepared. I don't know what she means. We're just hanging out. This cat is bugging me. I don't know what she wants. I'm trying to do a show. I'm gonna lock you out in a second. Oh, this. All right. So this is her. Like, she might lay down here, or she just wants the window open. Nah. I don't know what you want. I don't know what you want, Olive. I don't know what you want. She hears you talking. Yeah, obviously. And she's like, why aren't you talking to me? Lanyard tour. Oh, lanyard tour. I feel like we bore most people in here. Most of those, like 90, all of them except like 2, I think, are esports related events. Quick count on 3. Everyone drop your collegiate esports salaries and chat. $2 an hour. Oof. Oof. Man. You guys are forcing me to try to move this collegiate salaries up. Less than McDonald's manager. Oof. Oof, oof. Oh. Who is better all time, Simple or Coldzera? Oh man, this guy coming in here with the CSGO questions. Are you impressed I even knew that was CSGO? You guys are getting paid. Yeah. I'm paying tuition instead. Ooh, another oof. I feel so weird in this whole situation. Yeah, I think it puts you kind of in an awkward place. Simple's coming out. I think Simple is the way to go here, but I'm not going to make an official statement. I'm going to remain no comment on this one. Let you guys fight it out. Wait, yeah, y'all are saying, wait, you're getting paid. All right, if you're a student, this is a different conversation. There is potential where you still should be getting paid, but it's different, I think. But probably still worth the conversation. Thoughts on Twitter Blue? What does Twitter Blue mean? Someone posted about Twitter Blue something. I don't even know what that means. I feel like it's mandatory that I have my Twitter up while we're having this conversation. Yeah, right? Subscription membership for extra functionality on Twitter. Oh! Who would... Hands up, would anyone subscribe to my Twitter Blue? It's like a beat version. Oh, okay. Comes in. Oh, so I can't, it's not a revenue share generation. Guys, I have 1 subscriber on Twitch, all right? We're getting big. It upgrades your account, no revenue. Boo! 40K to run. I'm looking at Michael Jones' tweet, putting out there 40K to run. It's actually pretty good. Oh man, we're gonna get spicy off this tweet. Do I think directors and head coaches should make more? Yes, but I also believe all workers should make more. Full stop. That's fair. We'll talk about that later. Oh my! What? Whoa! Hey! Whoa! Hey! Whoa! 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 We just got 4 subscriptions, guys. I just had a 400% increase on my subscriptions and a hype. I've never had a hype train. What is this? Let's go. All right. No, full stop. I think right now my account says I've generated $80 in the entire time I've streamed. I used to stream a little bit more regularly like 2 years ago. $80. So you don't get your first paycheck until you hit one hundo. So I'm pretty close to that. Haven't decided what I would do with that $100. Ooh. Space Ghost?
Hello?
What's up? All right, now I got to figure out this technical stuff here.
Oh shit, I can't hear you. Hold on. This is probably my fault.
No, it's me. It's totally me. I got to find... It's totally me.
Is it you?
It is totally me. It is totally me. I had the wrong thing up. For some reason, your video is like just loading infinitely, and I don't know if that's my end or yours.
Hold on 1 sec. Hello?
Oh, there it goes. Okay, maybe. I think I see it. What's up? What's up?
Let me fix this. Not much. How are you?
I am doing fantastic. I'm trying to figure out how to do this capture here.
Multicam. I can do an OBS Ninja link if you want. Then you just plug it into your OBS.
I'll do whatever you want. If you're the expert. That sounds fantastic.
I got you. It's actually a lot easier than Discord. Let me open it really quick, OBS.
Okay.
This is going to change your life because you can actually make the links for other people.
Ooh.
I know, so they just click the link.
That's sick. All right.
Yeah, I got to turn off my camera.
They can all hear you, just FYI. Don't spew anything. They just can't see you yet.
Yeah, no worries. I'm just adding my camera, and I'm not putting audio on so that we have audio through Discord.
Ooh, perfect.
Okay, wait a minute. No audio source. Okay. I'm gonna try to keep it family friendly here. Okay. Don't tell me that.
Chilling.
You know the danger
We're
there.
just chilling.
So in OBS you want to do like add source URL or whatever, and it should just give you a video of me.
Okay.
I also. Okay.
Let's see, browser source. Also, what? What do you got?
Oh, I was just saying I just got off of work, so I am Also, my closet is a mess. This is actually super funny. You can just see all the cords on the ground.
Nice. Oh
Whatevs.
no. Oh, okay. That worked.
Did it work?
It's working. I'm getting it right where it needs to be.
You gotta move them?
I gotta
All
move
right,
some
here we
things.
go.
Let's
Oh my
put
god, you have an
behind the overlay.
agenda.
I have an agenda.
I'm so
a light
impressed.
agenda. Light agenda.
Yeah. Just a little agenda here. No big deal.
Yeah. A little chat in the middle for us. I like to use the chat as kind of like a back and forth with the chat. Obviously.
Yeah.
Like, let's let that drive. Somebody let my hype train die, so
That's
whatever.
rude as hell.
I've never had a hype train. Everyone's saying they want PG-13. Huh,
Okay.
interesting.
All right,
Well,
PG-13.
Shoot. Great.
We can go there.
Let's cancel Adam Antor on his second stream ever. That would be.
Let's just
that'd
get
be
rid of
great.
him.
Yeah.
Okay.
How's it going?
Oh man, it is going so well. I'm having such a good time. I just got off of work and then I had to rush here. And then I have an appointment and an interview in 3 hours. So we have so
Ooh.
much time.
Interview for a job or interview for like a media thing, or
All right.
not
guys.
saying.
Us and our 40 best friends here are not gonna say anything, right? I have an interview with Business Insider.
Oh, that's cool. Interesting.
So yeah, just kind of like it's like not a big deal at all. It's just
Pretty
like a
sick.
thing.
No, I think
Yeah.
that's kind of more than a thing. I mean, anything non-esports related when it comes to media is more than just a thing. You know?
Yeah,
That's pretty cool.
that's true. Yeah, it's kind of a big deal. I actually used to be a tipster for Business Insider when I worked for WeWork. When it was falling apart. Yeah, it was so much fun.
Oh boy. Oh,
Yeah,
interesting.
they don't have any money to sue me, so I don't even
That's fair. Yeah. they
come
do
for
it.
me.
Well, before we get into much, I want to let you introduce yourself because I'm not even going to try to come up with everything you've done. So I want to give you the floor. I know most of us are really bad at talking about ourselves, but I'm going to let you talk about yourself for a little bit. Tell us who you are and where you come from and your credentials at this point.
Yeah. Yeah, I get kind of rambly, so if I go out of bounds, just put me back on the train.
Chat, let her know when she talks too much.
Yeah, let me know.
There you go.
I Warhood clipped and posted on Twitter the Business Insider thing. All right, I already love chat. My name's Kari Keone. A lot of people mispronounce that last name, and that's fine because it's Hawaiian. Also, my first name, Carrie. They say Carrie a lot, so it's Kari Keone. I'm from Salt Lake City, Utah. I was born in Oahu, but I was only there for 8 months. Same hospital and same day as Barack Obama, just 20 years apart. So,
Okay.
yeah,
Still
I'm sure. Yeah, I share a birthday with the president in the same hospital. Super weird. But I started casting in 2019. My very first cast ever is on YouTube, which is pretty embarrassing and not standard for most casters, but it was a tournament called the Pac E, if you ever want to see some really bad casting. And it was the University of Utah versus ASU, which is why I have such a soft spot in ASU for my heart. Yeah, I also worked for Netflix. I just got back from Los Angeles last night, which is why I was late now, because I had to find all of my everything, like clothing, makeup. I was working from home as like a goblin, just like mere 15 minutes ago in goblin mode. But yeah, I work for Netflix as a technical research analyst. I do a lot. It's like data analytics, and it's also incident management, and it's also project management, and it's also QA and bug fix. It's so much. It's a big job. And Natalie Portman was in the office today, and I wasn't, which makes me furious because I have not seen a single celebrity working on the LA campus, and today was the day, I guess.
What? All right,
Yeah,
so
she was just
who's
eating.
the most famous person you've met? Let's
Ever?
sidetrack. Yeah.
I used to work for the Sundance Institute as an archivist, so like I would archive. I mean, obviously there's only so many documents you can archive, so it was a temporary position. But I also worked the festival, and I met Bill Murray.
Ooh.
Yeah, and I was like guarding the volunteer food area for some reason. They like have somebody posted there. As if you can tell, like Philip Seymour Hoffman, he can't, I mean, rest in peace, but like he can't have a muffin. But Bill Murray asked for a muffin, and I was like, whatever you want, man. You fucking have a muffin. And he put $50 in our little like employee food jar. I was like, good guy. So that was that interaction. Yeah.
Interesting.
Bill Murray's a good dude.
That's fascinating.
Who's the most famous person you've met?
Darius Rucker.
Who's
that? What? No. Are you serious?
Sorry.
Are you serious
I'm
right
sorry.
now?
I'm so sorry. Oh my god.
Wait, did you just are you being serious right now? You're being serious. Gosh darn it. All right, Darius Rucker, Wagon Wheel. Hootie and the Blowfish. He was the lead man.
Okay, so is he the
does Wagon Wheel.
Okay.
I was
Okay.
so right out of college, I was managing a Target store in South Carolina. I found out I never want to work retail ever again. But one day, somebody came up to me. He's like, Darius Rucker's in the store. He's from Charleston, South Carolina. Went up. I said, I just casually just said like, hey, how's it going? And that was it. Like, he was super nice. I never said like, oh my gosh, you're Darius Rucker. Like you get a picture. Like, no. I just said hi. Stephen Colbert came into our store. I never
That's
talked
so
to him.
cool.
The lead of Criminal Minds. I forgot what position or what role he does, but like those people. I was in a really snooty Target store for a while. And
I can tell, yeah.
Those are the people.
The upscale Target.
Yeah. So that's cool. But that's awesome. But go back. All right, continue on this list of credentials
of celebrities. No, I'm just kidding. Actually, I used to be friends with Jerry Coleman. When I was 16 years old, I started working in a toy store, and he was a model train builder, and I just pretended not to know him, and he just kept coming back every day. Like, we played D&D during my shifts, so that was kind of cool.
Oh, that's awesome.
Yeah, but credentials. First cast in 2019, so I've been doing it for 3 years. I've just demonstrated how bad I am at time math. So
COVID
I'm just gonna
everything up. Don't worry.
It really did. I don't even know how to count anymore. But I did it casually for 2 years. And then sometime around like January, February of this year, I got a job as a reporter, a beat reporter for Wisdom, covering Proving Grounds. And that's when I started to like feel really passionately about casting, and I started hating writing, which was great. So around like February, I started like seriously trying to improve, studying, doing a lot of stuff that I had like not really bothered with because I've been playing League casually for 9 years. But I started like buttoning things up, and the rest is history. You know how much has happened since then.
Gosh. LCS Studio, like Gateway Legends. I mean, it's been fun.
It's a lot of.
It's been fun to watch and like say like, oh, I know her.
Yeah, I've been so fortunate because like I have really high expectations of myself, and I'm really impatient, and a lot of people take that as like me feeling entitled to anything. I feel like every single time anybody's like given me anything good, I've been like, what the fuck? Like, holy shit. I can't, like when they said that they were gonna hire me for Gateway Legends, I was like, I don't know, like crazy imposter syndrome. But there comes a point where like you can only prep so much, and you have to just do the things that are offered to you, you know? So
I honestly, I had never heard of you before Gateway. And
Yeah.
I'll put it out there. And I thought you were like the premier caster on that lineup. And there's some amazing casters on that lineup, but like
They were
not
incredible.
knowing any of them before, because I didn't follow the amateur scene as much as I should be.
Yeah.
I was like, oh, this must be the title caster that they got signed, because I don't know, maybe it's how you uphold yourself, or I don't know what it is, but I was like, oh, she's like the one. And then I was really excited that you got to cast the Aquinas match. Obviously, I was like, oh, this is sweet. This is going to be great content.
Speaking of Aquinas, I still am obviously obsessed with every single one of you. Like, no matter where your careers go, I'm just gonna follow you around like a stalker. But it was crazy because we didn't know anything about you. We didn't know how to pronounce the school name. We didn't know where you guys came from. And you know why. You started like, what, 2 weeks? You scrimmed for 2 weeks?
Yeah, it was, I mean, we still struggle with the name thing, but at that point we were just starting to get to a point where like our team was okay. And I had to beg Clerky to let us into that tournament. Like, you have no idea. When he first was asking for teams back in like March, I messaged him. I'm like, hey, I would love to be a part of this. And he ignored me. And then in June, he put out like 2 of our teams dropped looking for auditions. And I messaged him like, dude, I really want to go.
Me.
And he's like, we really want this to be like D1 plus teams. And I'm like, I understand that. Like, I have 2 players who aren't quite D1 yet. Like, but just give me a chance. I'll show up. And he's like, I'll let you know. And like 2 hours later, he messages like, do you want to go to St. Louis? I'm like, yes, Clerky. That's what I've been asking for. And the rest is history. I mean, so yeah, Clerky ghosted me. You could call him out on that, but yeah.
No,
that's
like
the story. So we were the nobodies, and we had nothing to lose. So
you were we were joking, we were calling you the 19th seed, right? You were the
Yes.
backups to the backups.
Yep, that was
It was
it.
so funny. And it was so crazy how like you guys made a run for it. Like I lost my mind too because the other thing too is like when I approached you guys, I'm not saying that like I mean college boys in particular don't necessarily like know how to communicate. I don't hold them to that standard. But some of the teams we approached were like really like they were in like Hulk mode, you know, like competitor mode,
Yeah.
and they didn't necessarily like want to talk. Plus, like some of them were a big deal. They're like, you know who I am, you've met me multiple times. But you guys were just so fucking friendly. Like you were like throwing food at each other and just hanging out and like roasting, and I just like felt like such a like you guys were so cool. It was such a fun time. Plus, your top laner was my escort when I went drinking on Sunday night, which I thought was really awesome.
Yeah.
Like he was sitting around and like we would like see him talking to one of our female like a dude talking to one of our female friends. We'd like exchange looks, and I'd be like thumbs up or thumbs down. Like it was good. What
That's
a good
good.
dude.
Yeah,
Yeah,
those guys are special, and the
they are.
coach Jay was awesome. He's now full time at Columbia College as their lead coach. Like that was a crazy group of individuals, and yeah, that was fun. But let's talk about developing caster talent. You talked about how you stepped back and started studying things and trying to get better. Walk me through what that looks like. Like when you want to be a caster, how do you kind of go about getting better?
Yeah, it surprisingly doesn't have anything to do with playing the game. I've peaked at gold 2. I still, because I think it looks better on a resume, I still intend to climb. Especially like it's funny because I didn't play for almost 2 months, I think, and then after like intensive studying, like I was falling asleep to like LCO at night. After some intense studying, I got back on League, and it was like, you know, the white lady meme with the math around her, like that was me, but in a positive way. Like I understood the game in ways that I hadn't before. And I just ended up going like, I think I got 7 wins in a row on my Kindred jungle. And it was like kind of life altering because for a long time, Wolverine had talked about how if you don't understand macro, you can't climb no matter what. Like mechanics don't mean shit. As long as you understand the game as a whole, you'll be successful. And that was never more apparent to me than when I took a break from League and probably watched like I joked about it on Next Level and I can't take it back, but I was like I probably watched like thousands of games, and that's not true, obviously. But I have watched hundreds of them, and I prefer to watch a game from front to back. I don't like watching pieces of games because contextually, it's impossible to draw conclusions unless you see early, mid, late, especially now, like with the meta where it is. Like you have to see all phases of the game to understand how you got to where you are. Like, you know what I mean? Like you have to understand all of that. And so, mostly just watching games. I also subbed to a couple different like coaches' Patreons just to read their. It was mostly to get their read on the meta. That's the other thing is there's like 2 parts to it. It's like learning the professional basics of the game that most people don't know, like most casual players don't know, and then the second part is keeping up with the meta, which I would argue is most important when you're casting because you're casting games that are current. So
Yeah, interesting. Yeah,
watching.
I always find it interesting the few people in the space who talk about how like to be a good coach or a good caster, you have to be at the top of your game. You have to be a Masters player or whatever. I chuckle.
Yeah.
I don't participate because I know I'll get canceled if I do. But I find it really interesting because, I mean, one of the best casters we had at Aquinas, he was a Rocket League caster. His name's Powder. He's been working like CRL and stuff. The guy started casting at Aquinas because he was a silver Rocket League player that I did not allow to.
He couldn't play.
He couldn't play. He tried out, and I said, no, you're not good enough. But I need a caster. And after 2 years, like now he's like a champ plus player. So like now he's good, but he's just an awesome caster. And the idea of like you have to get good before you can be a good caster makes little sense to me. But also, I'm not casting at a pro level, so I don't know if that's maybe the difference. But yeah.
Yeah. It's so funny. Somebody in chat said those who can't do teach. And it doesn't mean like you can't, like, I still think that it's a good like sign of work ethic for me to get a higher rank, you know, but that's also like, who has the time? Like I work sometimes like 40 to 60 hours a week at Netflix. And then like, as you saw, I'm like doing a bunch of other stuff. I'm going to, oh, I can't say that, but I'm going somewhere on Saturday to film some stuff. And so like that was so bad. I'm sorry, guys. I wish I didn't have to
Jeez, you're just
I
putting it out
know.
there and
I
leaving
feel
us
bad.
hanging. No,
You will
it's fine.
find out at 11 a.m. tomorrow on my Twitter. Sorry, 12 p.m. on my Twitter tomorrow.
Nice.
But yeah, you just like playing solo. It's the other thing about like we don't pull players out of solo queue because they are not primed and ready to play the team game. You know what I mean? They're so used to like feast or famine and like struggling for themselves. So like a lot of the time, I mean, that's why I think Collegiate's going to be so much bigger than amateur because in Collegiate, there's standards of like behavioral standards. There's a lot of psychology involved. There's a support system that can help them, like build up these muscles while they're still in school. So I don't know. I don't know what we were talking about.
No, that's fantastic. What advice would you give to a college coach who doesn't know how to get a kid started in casting? Or he or she might have somebody who might be interested, but doesn't know how to, what's the next step? Like, what would you advise?
Yeah, I really think, so for me, I don't know why I am camera ready. I think it's a flight or fight response where like I have really bad social anxiety and I think that my response to that is to perform, like to enunciate and to like sit up and like do all of that. I didn't take any sort of like classes. I have no idea how I started on broadcast, but I would recommend that if you wanted to get somebody started in casting to start with like speech talking things, like just to get them comfortable with role playing with the idea of being on camera. Because once you are on camera, you can't take it back. You can't, you can't roll it back or anything like that. But the only way to actually like learn how to cast is just to throw yourself into the pool, but not practicing. Like practice only takes you so far. There's a completely different feeling and level of pressure. So doing just like even shitty little scrims, being like, okay, your mom and your sister are watching these scrims right now. We're broadcasting them on Twitch. Mom and sister are watching, but you still have an audience. You know what I mean? You're still broadcasting. And it's just like playing stage games. Like you have to cast on stage 100 times before you're actually going to be good at it.
Yeah.
So
that's a good point.
Just setting up, like, honestly, if you want to get somebody started in casting, you have to set up the infrastructure. Like when you guys are scrimming, set up a scrim channel that nobody has the link to, and just like invite a couple. They can invite their friends, encourage them to maybe like post it on Twitter. I don't know. I actually probably not a good idea, maybe, to let other people watch your scrims, but.
That's a really good, that's a really good idea, is like developing caster talent alongside developing player talent, just packaged in one. I like the idea of like a scrim channel with a scrim thing. I think that's really cool.
Setting up the infrastructure.
Yeah. So how much technical knowledge do you need to know about streaming to cast? Like, is there usually an expectation that you have to be able to run Streamlabs or?
That's a really good question. I've been working in technology as like an IT engineer for almost 11 years now. So I genuinely do not know the answer to that question because I've streamed in the past. I know how OBS works, obviously you saw. Wow, what a question, dude.
Have you ever have you ever worked a gig where you have to run the stream?
Yes.
Okay. All right.
So like if you want, you know what? I think you're right. I think that was a good entry question there because certain gigs that are like unpaid, which are great practice, by the way. Like I genuinely think it's okay to accept unpaid gigs as long as you aren't at a level where you should be paid. You know what I mean? Like you don't have the level of experience where you should be paid and you should be compensated. Some would argue that I'm still not there, but I do not care. But yeah, you're right. Like certain lower paying gigs, or not paying at all, volunteer gigs, some lower academies. Sometimes people just do stuff for fun. Like I did an internal, it was the employees of Cloud9, and they had like a Halloween tournament that they did, and like me and my friend were doing like I can't remember, but we had to do something technical. We ended up drawing the logo, so we did like a Cloud9, and then we just drew like paint pumpkins on it. Yeah, there was a lot of like silly, like we were scene changing and we like dressed up. It was crazy, but yeah, you end up running a show. Sometimes just say basic knowledge of how a broadcast works. Streaming for sure helps with like talking to an audience and engaging. I'm one of the only casters that like, I think during college tournaments, we should engage with the audience. Those are people's parents,
Yeah.
you know, those are like people's family. And I love talking to people's, like, I don't know, I just like talking to their family and engaging them because I think that's the most fun thing about Collegiate is like watching your son or daughter playing the game on a broadcast, you know?
Yeah, that's super cool. All right, so we have a question in chat from Real Madru.
I'm ready.
What are casters' expectations when it comes to LAN events? If I were hypothetically flying casters to my campus, what are some must-haves other than pay to make the experience, one, worthwhile, and two, give them the best opportunity to succeed?
Yeah, so I'm gonna say something that's maybe a little controversial here.
Do it.
I was going back to work on the 5th of October. I ended up going back on the 13th, but I was taking a medical leave. It was mostly for mental health, but my medical leave was coming to an end, and ISU asked me to do their 66 Expo, and I accepted for free. And that's not something I would really ever do, especially now knowing that they're building like a $1.3 million esports facility.
5.95, but no one's counting.
5.95. But the thing is that in order to get that money, this event was like what all of that hinged on.
Yeah.
Impressing their board and showing up. And I knew the context of it. I knew that if they took out $1,500 from the budget to give to me, it may come out of the pocket of the producer because he wants to get that budget. So like the 66 Expo really helped launch that. So like there's certain events that you can do for free. But leading into that question, so if you're not paying me, then hypothetically speaking, I expect to be paid. I don't expect to be paid. I expect my room and my board and my food to be paid for or provided. I'll take provided food. I don't care. I would expect all of that to be like paid for. Everything that I could possibly need within expectations. Obviously, I'm not going to empty the mini bar and call it good. But that's what I would expect from it, including the food. If I am getting paid, generally food is sort of like a fight or flight. I expect food to be on campus, but if I want to eat something different, then I'll go pay for it. You know what I mean? Like it won't come out of my pocket. So I don't expect meals. We do expect water. That is one thing that like if we show up and there's not like a case of water, that's, I don't know, casters just need water. And I think that that's like in the chaos of setting up LAN events, especially college ones, I think people overlook that. Gateway Legends and Redbird were both like incredible. Like they literally bought us like Costco-sized pallets. Yeah, they were awesome. Also, I destroyed the environment by drinking like 40 water. Like literally just get me a giant and I'll just put it under my mouth. Like I don't care. Okay, so let me actually answer the specific questions. Flying casters, what are some must-haves other than pay? So I think that one thing that you can do is creating hype is more likely to bring like good casters to your event, because even though you can't pay people an exposure, that is a huge benefit. Like knowing that we had top contenders at Gateway Legends that not only people from college would be watching, but like LCS people were watching as well. Lots of industry people were like keeping an eye because it was the first in-person event since COVID as well. So that makes it worthwhile, but I don't recommend pushing exposure as like a selling point. Unless you want to like, I don't know, I can't finish that thought.
I wouldn't even touch it.
Yeah.
I do esports photography on the side, and the big thing is like exposure is like the biggest red flag ever. And
yeah,
most of the professional photographers will say you never work for free, but obviously all of us worked for free to get to where we are at some point. So I don't know. That's
yeah.
Interesting.
And I also do charity events for free, you know what I mean? As long as I know that they don't have big sponsors that they could pay me with. Yeah. Like the Redbird thing, I knew how much was on the line, so I just wanted to help because that helps all of college.
It does.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
That helps everybody. And knowing that, like, and people know that about me too. And I think that having the goodwill of the college scene is more important to me than the $500 or whatever I would have made.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, if you're not paying your caster, you need to at least cover all the costs that they have.
Mm-hmm. And they did.
That would include travel, and yeah, that's good. Good.
Yeah. Another thing that would make it like worthwhile, let's see. and give them the best opportunity to succeed. So I'm going to be honest with you. I think that unless it is a student caster, I wouldn't worry about like opportunities to succeed. Anybody who's not going to your school and is an adult sort of needs to like if they're your friend or you want to like help foster the casting community, that's great. But like a caster's like, I don't know, we have a lot of resources and we have a lot of opportunities, and college already has a huge burden with trying to make players succeed. And so I think that should be the focus. Like, I appreciate every opportunity I've received from Collegiate, and they've taken care of me. Like, I actually just got an email from Scouting Grounds.
Nice. Wait,
Thanks,
are you allowed to say that?
everybody.
Are you allowed to say
Oh shit, I don't know. Well, fuck. Anyway, my 35 best friends. Please don't tell anybody. Shit. Fuck. Okay.
No, that's super cool. No, I don't know if that's secret or not. I don't know if any of that secret stuff.
Yeah.
That's
Have you been
super
keeping an eye on the chat?
A little bit. It's
Okay,
a little
cool.
slow. We're good. We're good.
Good.
But okay, so lots to talk about in the caster stuff. I really like that conversation. Now let's shift to the next thing. Let's talk about the one thing that everyone has a panel on, but no one actually talks about the real shit. All right. And I want to talk about some of that real shit. So you had posted about something and that kind of prompted it. Let's talk about women in esports and your real experiences of being in esports. I don't want to talk about like broad strokes. Like let's hear like actually the problems and let's hear about like what your actual experiences are, because I have female students, other coaches have female students, but I don't think any of us guys realize the actual problem and what's happening and some of those experiences. So
Oof, Adam, you know just gave me a blank check.
This is like a 5-hour conversation that can occur, but I just want to make sure that everyone in chat understands like the reality of that stuff.
Okay, so the basics are covered. Like, nobody has groped me in the last year. Let's just talk about my experience in the last year. Not as a female gamer. Let's talk about how modernized. Like, let's talk about right now. Like, the challenges right now. So we're gonna focus on that. So I haven't, like, nobody's sexually harassed me. Nobody's tried. I'm also 33, so nobody's like tried to flirt with me or date me. Nobody's crossed the line, but it has happened to my other colleagues, which sucks. But it is relatively rare and relatively isolated now, especially in Collegiate, because those students have a code of conduct that they have to follow to keep playing. You know, like, your coach isn't going to let you harass women and still play in their league. So, like, there's a certain standard, like behavioral standard. And the community's been pretty awesome to me. Like, I really think that League of Legends is held up as like a really toxic community, but it's really not. And they are really excited to have women who are casters that will make them proud. Like, I feel that from people. I don't get a lot of pushback. Okay, this is going to be kind of hard to explain. Where sexism is perpetuated, it's not in the big stuff. It's kind of like, it's not in like hate crimes. You know what I mean? Like, hate crimes still happen, but fuck. It's not in like the deliberate stuff. It's not in like getting groped or getting harassed. It's in that and it's not just men, it's everybody. When you say something as a woman, people are automatically more critical, especially if it's an opinion. Because we are taught that women are like soft and quiet, and they don't take up much space. And so when women have definitive opinions, or if they are on a broadcast talking about what's happening on a map, you get the least charitable interpretation humanly possible. Most of the feedback that I get from, it's not negative. I would say these are like opportunities. These are constructive. Most of the constructive feedback I get is good, and it's well thought out. And that's because the people I ask for constructive feedback for are really intelligent. They've done a lot of work in seeing, like, not having this reactionary like impulse to discounting women. And like, you may think that you don't do that to women. Like, you may think that you hear my voice and you're fine with it. And if I say something that we disagree with, that's fine. And it is, but every day I catch myself like reading something a woman has wrote and being like, yeah, okay. And then being like, why the fuck? Lizard brain, why are you taking over? Like, why do you have to degrade women? So if it happens to me, somebody who's like acutely aware of issues of sexism, then I guarantee it happens to others. You have to spend every day diligently checking yourself every time you think something deriding. Like, you just have to analyze it. And I don't like we're okay to have like conflicts. Women can be wrong. I would argue that I am a bad I'm a bad indicator of what is going well and what is not, because I have a lot of opinions.
Hey, everyone does. We just like to share them on
Yeah.
Twitter a little bit more than other people.
Right. And the other thing is, like, I'm not like mature in my social media use because I've been on Twitter for 13 years with 1K followers. This last year when I blew up, I had no idea how to act, and I still don't know how to act. Which is why I would argue that I'm not necessarily like a good like person to hold up as like women in esports, because there are things that I have done and said that are just bad behavior.
Well, everyone has that, but I don't want someone with 500,000 followers to be having this conversation, because their experience is going to be totally different than what my students are going through and what most women are going through in this space. And I appreciate that, because I think that insight is really powerful, because I've seen myself do the same thing. And it's like, what am I doing? Like, the first read on a tweet, I'm like, pass, whatever. And then I'm like, what? Because I'm guilty of doing it to some of your tweets. Like, I'm like, oh my gosh, she's just being dramatic today. And then I go back and I'm like, wow, I'm an asshole. Like, no, this isn't actually like, I get it. I think that's really good feedback.
It's so big to admit that too, because like I've had conversations with other men where I've been like, hey, like the constructive feedback's so good, and I'm gonna take this and this and this that you said, but this piece here, like when you said that, you know, like Lee Sin is no longer in the top meta, like I only have so many words to say a thing, and you are assuming that I don't know something that we couldn't even touch on. And I was like, and that's just you assuming that there's a gap in my knowledge. You're just finding things to pull out of like space. And that doesn't happen to male casters very often, but it does happen to them. So it's hard to determine what is like sexism and what is just like League fans just pontificating for their own satisfaction.
Yeah, that's fair. And I mean, it goes without saying that like the only time I usually hear women on panels is the women in esports panel, and that's like one of my biggest pet peeves at any conference. Is like, and the same thing, like the only time we hear of like from people of color is on the diversity panels, and I'm like, I am so sick of hearing these old white guys say the same crap every conference I go to. Like, let's change it up a little bit and get some more perspective. So I don't know.
I really appreciate that, like, not only did you open with like my career accomplishments and then ask me about like collegiate casting and like fostering talent in your own schools, but like the woman piece, you understand that there's more nuance. Like, I'm not just gonna come on here and be like, every mean tweet I get is sexism, because it's not. Like, I've had some very legitimate criticism, and I can't learn unless like viewers, fans, coaches, players reach out to me and tell me that I'm wrong. And I absorb that shit like it is my lifeblood, even when it's not necessarily healthy. Like, I had Captain Flowers reach out to me and he was like, you can't absorb everything because you will absorb some toxic stuff. And like, that's relevant. So I think that I've got a pretty good handle on what's real and what's not. Yeah. But I really appreciate you giving me like a platform to, touch on that piece.
Holy cow. Absolutely. I mean, you're going through the casting pipeline, and you're way ahead of where most college kids would be, and where and I think you bring a ton of insight there. And I hated the idea of like, let's only talk about women in esports, because you have way more knowledge than that. Obviously,
I appreciate it.
So no, I'm really happy we had you on. What are next steps for you? Like, what does the next year look like for you professionally? Like, without spoilers, like where do you hope to be? What are you putting time into? Like, let us know. What do you got?
Okay.
No spoilers.
Right, no spoilers. So I don't have any casting contracts coming in yet. So there's like no spoilers there. I don't think people understand the interview process to actually get on LCS. For example, Clayton, Captain Flowers, interviewed for 7 months.
Wow. Shoot.
Yeah, and that has to be agonizing, not knowing that this dream that that you are obsessed with. Like I'm obsessed with getting on LCS or LEC. Waiting 7 months of tension to fight, I'd die. If you hear that I jumped off a building, just be happy for me, okay? Don't be sad, just be happy.
Definitely be sad.
That I've shed this mortal coil and I'm free of my anxiety. But no, I'm just kidding. That's not a threat. I'm sorry, guys. It's whew, I've had a long day.
We all have.
But the next steps for me, I have a really important thing coming up, and I would love if you guys would watch it. It's on the 15th. That kind of gives it away, but don't tell anybody. 33 best friends. And
Next
that's
Monday?
kind of a
November?
yeah.
That gives it
We're
away?
announcing it tomorrow.
I'm out of touch.
Good.
But someone else probably knows. Cool.
Yeah,
I'll be watching. I'll look out for tomorrow. Noon tomorrow. Is that PST? It's coming out?
Yeah.
Okay.
Sorry. It's noon MT, so 11 PST. Or 1 PST. No, it's 11 PST.
Yep.
Yeah.
2 p.m. Eastern for those of you on the East Coast with me. The best coast.
Hey,
All right.
not me.
Uh,
But next steps, I feel like a lot of casters feel like I need to pay my dues first, and I would agree with that. Like, I should probably do the rounds through Academy, and I should probably do the rounds through CLOL championships. I should probably do the rounds through a couple more amateur circuits. And I agree with that. I think that more casting is always good, and I haven't had a moment where it's been like, oh shit, she's good at her job. Where I've watched back VOD reviews and I've been like, that's Kobe level, you know?
I get that. I think but I also think that's a garbage take that you have to like get certain badges to go to the Elite Four. That's stupid.
Maybe.
There are people who are gonna. I mean, there are people with talent that can hop those. Like, I mean, yeah, I worked IM Chicago doing photography, and that was like a huge jump. And most other photographers are like, why would he get the job? He hasn't worked, blah blah blah. I'm like, because I'm good. I don't know. I bring the value proposition. I think that's the same with you. Like, you don't have to do a 5,000 matches in the academy scene to earn your shot to interview. Like, that's dumb. But I get it. I get the experience.
Yeah.
Yeah.
No, I appreciate that take too, and I definitely feel part of that. Like I've had a lot of like, I think everybody knows how much I don't handle like even the tension of knowing that somebody thinks there is like nepotism involved with my meteoric rise, because it's not. Every single thing. Well, the reason that they think it's nepotism is because I am dating the head coach of Golden Guardians. I don't know who knows that, but I'm very open about it. But Nick is
player, so I don't really care.
Yeah, right,
so.
right. Nick has never asked for anything on my behalf. He's never retweeted anything. He's never responded to any of my, like, we keep our careers very separate for a specific reason. And he knows that if, he retweets, hey, Kari's going to be on this, that it will look nepotistic for me. It could ruin my career. And so like, I'm really sensitive to people like bringing stuff like that up, because I've worked my asshole off. I've worked my asshole off. To get where I am. Like, I was looking at my Google Drive and it's just full of like LCS stats, tournament stats, like overlay. It's absolutely nutty the amount of work that I've managed to put in. And there's a collegiate coach that I had a conflict with. Everybody knows who he is. And he
I don't know what you're talking about.
I don't know what anybody's talking about. And I remember we got in our conflict, and then he started rage tweeting about how hard work isn't enough if you're not like absorbing the concepts. And the fact of the matter is that if you compare my first cast this year in February to now, the difference is insane. Like, I am retaining these concepts and I am doing everything I can to like be a sponge. And so like, I appreciate your argument that you don't have, like, there is no old guard and you don't have to pay your dues.
Yeah.
I guess I'm just pretending to be humble.
Maybe I get that too. The old guard, I hate that term because the OGs.
The OGs.
Because there are people
like,
in Collegiate who are the OGs of Collegiate Esports. And I'm like, no, you guys we're doing it at a different time than us. You don't have, we're all doing it terribly. Like, you can't say you're doing it less terribly.
Yeah.
I don't know, that's my take, but.
I completely agree. Everybody has their own path to take, and they're gonna like, I'm gonna accept opportunities and just if I lose opportunities to other people, I always just tell myself, get good. You know, just fucking get good.
Yeah.
Just be better than them. Be so good that the people need you on their broadcasts.
That's good.
And that will drive me. I'll never be like looking over the fence and being like, oh, Joshi's doing Academy. Like, I'm not going to do that. I'm just going to get good.
I love it. I love your energy on a cast. I think you bring, like, I think you've risen so quickly because of how you conduct yourself on a cast. Like, the amateur scene in terms of casters, I think there's not as much energy as what you bring to a cast. So I didn't even know you were dating. I would have never connected the two dots. So yeah.
We keep it on the DL. Also, they're the 10th place LCS team. Like, how much power do you think he has?
That's true.
Sorry, 8th place.
Uh-oh. We won't show him. If you ain't first, you're last, so.
Yeah, GG. Oh, man.
That's awesome. Well,
I
cool.
appreciate you saying that, though.
No, absolutely. I mean, there's a reason. You're getting some cool stuff. I'm excited to see whatever you're doing on the 15th. That'd be cool.
Yeah, I'm really excited about it.
Well, I'm gonna let you go, but before I do, we're gonna talk coaches' salaries after you leave, because you can stick around in the chat if you want. But
I will. Oh my god.
Talk coaches, specifically collegiate coaches' salaries, because that's the big situation right now. But
can I just put one piece in really quick?
Go.
Okay.
Well, on the topic, I'll allow it.
Okay, just really quick. Okay, right. You can springboard off of it, but I just want to say, any college institution that says they do not have the money to pay that person is lying. There is somebody on their board, there's somebody in their administration that has a yacht that they could just sell and pay an esports director, and that would not hurt them at all. Like, they have a charger that they do not need. Like, there is a resource there that it doesn't even need to be a yacht. It's literally just like, I don't know, don't buy those silk tablecloths. That's somebody's salary. Like, we all know how well private school administrators live. It's insane. So, like, that argument, like, you do me a solid. You know that argument does not fly, right?
No, it doesn't. No,
Okay.
I mean, any salary under 200K is just a drop in the bucket to a college. Like, I'm telling you.
Right? Like, people are like, oh, but what about budgets? Like, shut up.
It's usually more the politics and HR that get into things.
Yeah.
So
Clerky was talking about how the structure, like, other programs will kind of like sabotage each other. So I can't wait to hear about it.
Yeah, we'll talk about it. Well, before you go, what do you got to plug besides your stuff on the 15th? Where can people find you? What do you want to plug?
Yeah, I have the Twitter handle Space Ghost, which is a miracle. It was given to me by somebody who was really, really sweet. And I always retweet whenever he goes live,
Nice.
because I do not deserve that. So I'm always on Twitter, and you can find all of my other socials through that. I'm gonna start streaming again, and you can find me at Kari Keone. I didn't take Space Ghost on Twitch. I don't know where that handle lives, but I'm never gonna get it. But it's KarikeOne on Twitch. And hey, listen, Adam, I will also have you on my channel, okay?
Whenever.
In fact, I'm gonna follow and subscribe right now.
What? The subscription? Nah, you don't have to.
I am gonna
Just
do
follow.
it for
What?
$4.99. That's nothing. Oh,
You're amazing. You're amazing.
I got you, man. I appreciate you so much. Thanks for
Yeah.
having me on and letting me ramble.
No, anytime. This was fun. I appreciate it. And thanks for
you
joining.
Yeah, I want to ask you a million things because you were so sincere and so cool. But we'll just save it. I'll get to interview you next.
Okay. All right, let's do
All right.
it. Thank you. I'll talk to you later.
Bye.
Bye. Oh my gosh, what an awesome person. Thank you, Space Ghost. I really appreciate you stopping by. That was cool. I'm really glad she joined. My wife is texting me because she didn't know who Darius Rucker was. Oof. Thank you for the subscription. I really appreciate it. All right, guys, we've got one more topic to discuss. This one's where you guys have to come in and help me lead this discussion. We're going to talk about collegiate esports salaries. All right, let's talk first. We got UTD Dallas came out with their job description. You're coaching 4 different schools, or 4 different teams. Sorry, you are the head of the program. Head esports coach is the job title. $42K. All right, let's start this discussion. Where's everybody at with this? Let's talk. I'm going to turn on some music a little bit in the background too. Who's going to start the conversation? I don't know where you guys want to start. So I'm going to let you guys do this. Let's turn on a little bit of music. Here we go. All right. Do you know other directors' salaries in the space? Yes, I do. So I got some information. Esports Foundry asked for some information. Chris is just a phenomenal person. I'm not going to share any of the data at this point on stream in terms of like the graphics and stuff because he wants to make stuff look good. Yes, Ohio State posted their position, listed director of esports 48 to 58K. Also a little lower. That's lower than Oregon. Oregon posted their position 55 to 60. Maryland is hiring 60,000. Arizona was budgeting close, quote unquote, close to six figures. And everything else beyond that is usually like 45 tops, like 35, 45. Yeah, Arizona was 67 to 102. Yes. I worked at McDonald's for a year as a crew member. I would make that. Ooh, that hurts. And he's talking about the UTD job. Billy Sprout, thanks for stopping by. You've got a lot of stuff to do. Billy is a great guy. He's over at Mainline. As an OSU alum, that's disappointing to hear. It's disappointing, but also I think OSU and the big state schools, when we start talking, we're going to talk a lot about this. But as I mentioned, HR is going to be in a lot of those conversations. Other positions within that department are going to be influencing those decisions. Most of these numbers, when we talk about a school, it's not coming from what's the cheapest we can get somebody in here to do this for. It's what positions are similar, what are other schools offering, and when we specifically look at, let's talk about a little bit like my last school. I won't name them in this section, but my last school, I was making $38,000, and that was the standard at the time. Like that was the standard, if not above the average. And that was kind of directly related to other athletic coaches at the school. So it's not what's the cheapest we can do to get someone in. There's background to that information. Administrators do not value the work. That's not necessarily true. They just don't understand, I think, is a bigger piece of that. Retweet what Adam is saying. I think for OSU, it's a lot about the hierarchy. Absolutely. When you look at a big school, they have these pay scales like we saw at Arizona. There's a pay scale. And that's usually tied to the title of the position. So like director would have a certain title. Coordinator would have a certain pay scale. When we look at the smaller schools, there's a lot more flexibility. And that's where I think a lot of the problem is that the smaller schools have flexibility to do more, but they're not. And a lot of it's easier to get approved from administrators above them too. When the D1 schools hop into esports, the salaries are going to go higher. I hope so, but we also saw some bigger D1 schools enter the space at lower than what I was making at Aquinas. I mean, I saw a D1 school go. They posted a position for 32. That coach now makes a lot more, thank goodness. Central Michigan had a job posted for 48. Multiple people turned it down, and they ended up pulling the position for now. So we're hoping D1s bring it up, but we're also seeing D1s that aren't pulling it up. 38K, yeah, that was my life. 38K. There's plenty of coaches out there making 38 or less. Where's this data that I got? So I was also bringing in $500,000 in additional tuition revenue every year, but we're not going to discuss that part. But it looks like, so right now, if the program lead at these varsity programs is getting paid the salary, 27% of those varsity programs have a director making $30,000 or less. $30,000 or less, which is crazy. And most are going to end up in some range of, it looks like 35 to 50. Sounds right around here in the Midwest. My school is D1, 5-3. Do you happen to know other D1 athletic schools in particular? There's not many out there that are under athletics. Most of them are under student life right now, or like the dean of students, or rec sports is a big one. I made that amount working at McDonald's. Yeah, I know, man. But Collegiate Esports has been awesome. I mean, I'll never go back. Fun fact: tennis coach at Aquinas is making 150. When I first entered the space and we were looking at, I mean, I was making 38, like I said. My first thought process of like, what is this long term going to be, was to go look at the big D1 schools and look for a small sport and see what that coach was making and go for it. And that's where I started getting this idea of like 70 to 130 is kind of like long term where big schools will probably land. And people hate comparing traditional athletics and esports, but you've got to realize that most of these decision makers, when they're making salaries, especially at the smaller schools, are athletic directors. So that's what they're going off of. Personally, I think the situation sucks because UTD is truly an amazing program. Like, the students and program itself are fantastic and really have crazy potential, but the position is obviously not labeled to do what it is. Yeah, absolutely. And what we're seeing in a lot of those positions, when they're posting those positions under 50, we end up seeing either an internal hire or a student who just graduates to become that program director. And it's a lot to take on. And we haven't really seen a ton of instances where an all-star director leaves and a internal hire or a student comes in and does equally amazing things. There's a learning curve. It takes some time. And some of those schools are taking like a step back for a year or two for that new person to learn. I know here at SHU's the entry for all athletic coaches in year 1. Yeah, being private hasn't helped either, since the program didn't end up how they figured it would start. Absolutely. I'm just hoping that this doesn't dissuade good candidates. Oh, it definitely will dissuade good candidates. 100%. I mean, I'll tell you right now, like, there will be candidates who, if the number was 65, 60 or 60, 65, 70, they would be interviewing, but 42, just no. Quick aside, I will help mentor your aspiring collegiate coaches, casters, and I'm happy to discuss how to create a super easy plug and play talent development pipeline for your aspiring caster. Oh, that's amazing. All right, college coaches in the chat, if you've got aspiring casters, Space Ghost is offered to help out, answer some questions. Obviously, don't make her work for free, but I'm sure she's always willing to help answer questions. Collegiate overall does not come close to the value of talent. Yeah, it's a great way to, as Adam say, find a student who aren't skilled enough. Here's the Caribbean. We don't have an esports program in schools, and we have to convince schools to make clubs and get our own sponsors. Yeah. Can I send blah, blah, blah? Yeah, talking collegiate salaries topic time. Yes, it is. We're talking collegiate salaries. All right. Oh, it's because Space goes down here tweeting about it. Everybody's hopping in. Stares at colleges or coaches' salaries for traditional sports and dies inside. Yes and no. I mean, collegiate sports on the traditional side has been developing for like over 100 years. I mean, we're just at the cusp. When you start looking at some of these smaller schools and how their athletic departments started, a lot of it was like the athletic director was also the basketball coach, and they were also a teacher or a chaplain on campus. So like, we've seen a similar start with traditional athletics. We're pushing it a lot faster than I think traditional athletics was doing it back in the day. But I mean, it doesn't make it any better. People do also forget that there is no state income tax in Texas. Neither in Florida. My take-home pay doubled, and it wasn't just because my salary went up. It was no state income tax in Florida. 42K in Dallas on the lower end anyway, is on the lower end. I would say so. I think Dallas is an expensive place to live, is the other factor here. Moving ain't cheap either. Let me tell you, I just moved from Michigan to Florida. It ain't cheap. My wife reminds me constantly. It was not, moving is not cheap. Buying, selling houses is not cheap. Yeah, as Greg is saying, like, it's on the lower end, but compared to most esports jobs, it's kind of on par. Which, you're just not going to attract the talent. They offer no moving or relocation either. Yeah, I mean, I didn't ask for that in my current job when I moved. I will be in my next. 100%. A Grand Orange. Thank you, Florida is smelling. They offer, no stipend for moving. I did not get a stipend for moving, but I was getting a significant pay increase. So now I'm at 60, which, like, to be fair, like, to be honest, is not my long-term goal in terms of a salary, but it's a significant step forward. And what we're seeing is most of the coaches who've been around the space for about 2 years are now making 50 to 60. Obviously, you have some people making more than that. You can laugh at me all you want. I can be the butt of everyone's joke. That's fine. Had to stop coaching because I made no money. Yeah, and when we talk about like game coaches, even less. Most of them are volunteer. And hopefully that changes at some point. We're starting to see some full-time coaches. We look at Illinois Wesleyan. We look at Harrisburg, Maryville. They've all got full-time coaches or full-time assistants in some programs. And that's fairly new in the last couple years. As someone who lives in Dallas, you can find areas around Dallas that are still nice but relatively cheap. Good to know. I'm not moving for 42, but someone else probably will. I asked nicely, and my entire my job covered my entire moving and breakage of my apartment contract. Oh, that's nice. I did not have an apartment contract. I sold a house. How does a pension work? I don't have pension. I don't know. I don't have pension, but I have a 401k match. And so the first 2 years at most schools, your match is probably smaller on the 401k. But because I'm coming from another tradition or another educational institution, they waived the first 2 years. So I automatically get the higher percentage, match, which is super nice. One thing to know, all these schools you mentioned have coaches for the specific game, not like UT Dallas trying to get one person for 5+ games. Yes, all of those are investing significantly more into esports, like Illinois Wesleyan and Harrisburg. When we talk about the majority of college programs out there, most of them just have like one person who's most likely full-time, but not always. Our school's pension is in the 60s. Are schools offering reduced tuition on grad school at all for coaches that know of? There are some graduate assistants out there. Most bigger schools will offer a percentage off, like Ohio State. I know I was looking. I think they give like 50% off your graduate degree, or maybe 100%. I don't remember. 100% for you to get a graduate's degree. I got 50% off my degree, which, like, honestly was kind of a ripoff. Like, if I'm working for your institution, I should get free tuition even at the graduate level, but whatever. Honestly, so obsessed with the people who are passionate enough that they sacrifice things like salary, make it work, but the fact that people shouldn't have to hustle because there's plenty of money. Yes, absolutely. I mean, yeah, the passion is great, but you shouldn't be having to get a second job or stress about finances monthly because your school isn't willing to pay a little extra, if you're bringing that value. So Moog's in chat from Oklahoma. What up, Moog? Coach Antor, is that the entirety of compensation, or is that on top of salary? What's that question related to? Rephrase that and put, I don't know if that was graduate assistant or something. Yeah, it can't be enough. Yeah, it can't be my case. I was making more money working part-time compared to these offers. You also have to take a step back and look at where the position is too. Like, if you're coming from a tech job in LA or like tech or Silicon Valley, and you're looking at a job in Nowheresville, Kansas, that's offering $35,000, like, the cost of living is just gonna be different. Expectations are different. So don't forget to factor that in a little bit to that. Get with Stay Plugged In. There are schools. Yeah. Spin is a great org. I've heard great things. Don't mind me pogging while I try to figure out what my job is going to look like when I graduate in May. Hey, if you want to stay, if anyone is graduating this year and wants to stay in Collegiate, I highly recommend it. Like, it has been an amazing ride. It's super fun. You get to impact students. I love my job. And obviously I don't make the most money or as much money as I could somewhere else, or like doing something else, but I love this. This is amazing. And the salaries are getting better. So don't let this salary conversation prevent you from exploring collegiate opportunities if that's what you want. Kansas should pay you more because you have to live. Yes, that's what I'm saying. That's what I was talking about. Iowa, when Michigan Tech first announced their position, we didn't know a salary. I'm like, it better be twice what I'm making, because I don't want to, no one in their right mind wants to live in the Upper Peninsula of Michigan. So yeah, that was just legit. Told my wife last night I could make more going back to brain dead physical labor. Yeah, but do you really want to be doing physical labor? Cost of living arguments are usually a red flag. Yes and no. I mean, I know if your apartment or your house in LA is like 3 times the cost of mine in Michigan, I don't, not that I guess it shouldn't be the reason they offer a lower, but if you as a person are looking at it, most people could take a lower salary if they're living in a place that's cheaper. All right. So use that in your factor, not in telling them what they should put their salary at. That's a good point. Gosh, I'm struggling to keep up here. So Minnesota, same thing. Yep. Also good looks on the tweet. Really glad Coach Antor is having this convo for us. Absolutely. There's a lot of people in Collegiate that are will come on, they'll make some tweet about anyone or everyone who's talking about collegiate esports right now is embarrassing the scene. You guys are so immature, whatever. But from my perspective, it's like I said last week, it's this is a great opportunity for all of us to talk through this instead of just tweeting it out. Let's talk through it. Let's get some other perspectives. Let's get it off the timeline. And I think these conversations need to happen, even on Twitter. We're learning. Students, Lamar Daniels from Lords mentioned, it's great that we're having this conversation, but it's probably greater that our students are seeing us have this conversation so they know the expectations and where the scene is heading and things of that sort. So the range goes up to 58K. So there's a chance maybe. There you go. 58K. I would assume Ohio State would come in right in the middle, maybe 52 to 55. Assuming that the candidate is quality and somebody they trust. Collegiate is big fun if you consider the salaries of the top 4 CLO coaches last year. 100K, 70K, 5K, and free. Yeah, that's fair. That is fair. I didn't realize. Yeah, okay. That's good to know right there. Collimer dropping some knowledge. I would 100% rather work in collegiate esports than work in physical labor. Yeah, why do you think I quit McDonald's and started coaching high school and making extremely less per month? Absolutely. Yo, Kari, big fan. There you go. Space Ghost. Of having my former players see my tweets like a dumbass. CP Graham, I made $23K a year working 5 hours a day driving a forklift before I came to Collegiate. I love my job and it's my career path I want to follow. If I needed to make more money though and ended up put against the wall, I could go back there and make sure. Yeah, absolutely. I thought the Ohio State position was a manager role, that there is a director over that. So currently, K-Bot, please hop in on this one. But right now, there's a person from Brandon is currently the director of esports. Technically, he's from their innovation center, and they're building out people underneath him. I don't think he's gonna be the director long term, but he's the one driving the initiative right now at Ohio State. And underneath him, they have a coach / media lead they just hired. Yeah, Brandon Smith. Coach media lead that they hired in July, Sundance. He's doing great. Now they're hiring somebody, according to the job description, that's above him. That is what's the position? Is this one manager, esports manager? So they're building out the team. It's just, there's red tape there and there's a long-term plan, I'm sure. So yeah. Can anyone point me in the direction of coach, director, mentors to talk to? Hey, anyone, dude. Everyone in the space is so willing to help for the most part. Some people are super busy and won't answer DMs, but most of us always willing to chat. I'm always willing to chat. When you think about ways in which to improve the infrastructure of collegiate esports, are there existing infrastructures that you think work as a gold standard? And should it vary from game to game? Holy cow, that is a big question. I would love to hear other people's answers to this. It's just like so wide. Infrastructure of collegiate esports, existing infrastructure. I don't think anything, like my personal opinion is no one is doing it the way we should be doing it in 5 years, because we all have so much to learn. I don't think anyone is doing it the right way yet. Like every year all of us are pretty overworked, and we don't have all the time we need to focus on initiatives that we think are the most important, or we think are important. We're only doing the ones that we think are the most important. I love how you mentioned setting an example for students. It's so important to show them. Yeah, absolutely. I mean, I have a decent salary, but it's because my job is IT. That's what I'm paid for. Yeah, so Grand Orange is IT full time, but then he has esports as his side additional responsibilities, which is a red flag. I'll allow that FK there from Space Ghost. I'll allow it. Yeah, so for those of you who are doing multiple jobs on a campus and esports was the thing you were given after, you have now realized that it's a lot more than you initially thought it would be in terms of workload. Now is the time to start advocating for yourself and for the program and for your students to reset the expectations of administrators. Because if you don't talk about it with your administrators or your boss, if you don't push for something better, the school will let you do this to yourself and to the program for infinity. I love when coaches are like, well, at some point my boss will come tell me I'm getting big raise, or at some point we'll have that conversation. It's like, no, if everything's good and your administrators aren't having any problems, like they're not going to address anything. So yeah. Trinidad and Tobago, and I'm working on starting an esports association, a League of Legends program for our schools, and a FIFA esports program, but I have no idea where to start. I've done local coaching for a few years, but going into official capacity is daunting. None of us know what we're doing. Some of us have learned, like most of us, but most of us like started, we were the first ones in our school. We were the first ones maybe in our state. We learned from other coaches, just asking questions on Twitter, DMs, Discord. But for the most part, like when you say like official capacity, I don't know what that means. We're all trying to figure it out. So reach out to anyone. Reach out to us. School IT is trash. Which directors programs do you see making big moves in the next year? Oh, that's a good question. Illinois State's going to continue to make big moves. They just announced their $6 million arena. That's going to be big. Arizona, their position and what they hired for is going to be big. We'll see how they grow it, but they're building a big space. Ohio State building out or hiring another person full time in their program, I think is a big step. Hopefully will drive some more change in Ohio State and their esports program. Florida Tech is on my radar. Dana is awesome. And this is her first full year, I believe, at Florida Tech with a program. I'm interested to see where she grows things. St. Thomas in Texas absolutely hopped on the scene out of nowhere this summer in League of Legends. And I expect them to continue doing big things. Bay State College is obviously up there. Northwoods can continue to do some good stuff. There's just some cool stuff happening in the space. Do you think the future is through athletic programs? No. I think the future is a hybrid. So what we're seeing at most of the big institutions, most of the big institutions are starting under rec sports. But what we see about the institutions who started like 2 years ago or more, who are growing and supporting growth in esports, what we're seeing is a hybrid between athletics and student life. That, yes, we can impact 30 students in athletics under our competitive team. how do we impact hundreds of students on campus? We go through student life, and we create a lab, and we create programming around the lab and events. And I'm seeing this dual thing. And what I see eventually happening is that there will probably be somebody in charge of the student organization aspect and then the competitive program. Whether that's housed in the same department under the same person, I don't know. But I'm seeing just two aspects there. And we started on the competitive side at the smaller schools. We're starting on the student life side at the bigger schools. And at some point, they will probably cross over, and we'll see emerging at most institutions. That's just my guess. Billy Sprout with a subscription. Thank you so much, Billy. Aren't you supposed to be in a meeting? With salary for even a director position being a major topic needing advocacy, do you think it's the time to talk about salarying supporting staff as well? Or is that something to gradually be built in infrastructure? I think it's a really important aspect of this. Like, if you're looking to grow your program in your own salary, I think growing people underneath you and getting support staff is a really easy way to propel a program and push your own salary up. So I think it's an important piece of it. Whether it's you're advocating for your salary first or the full-time salary of an assistant, that's kind of up to you and your school and where you think you want the program to go and where the school wants the program to go. Some instances, a full-time assistant makes perfect sense. In other instances, part-time game coaches make more sense, but that's more of the smaller schools. It changes. Competitive teams are 30 students total. Gaming communities number in the thousands. Yes, and no. Yes, that is true. I would push back on that in a conversation of, like, to some schools, the gaming communities isn't the value of the esports program. When you're looking at a school like Aquinas, the value they get from esports is 100% from new students coming in through their competitive program. So that 30 students is more valuable to their administrators than having a club of 100 kids. When we talk about retention, there should be some more importance, but not, or equal importance, or some increased importance on the 100 students. But those schools aren't thinking about that, and that's not their main concern when we look short term. So, yes and no on that. Dana was only my director for a semester at GV, but she was amazing. Yeah, she's awesome. Really Intelligent has built collegiate infrastructure in the entire region. Yep. My meeting is over. Thank you very much. Can't look at market rates for coaches in collegiate. Yeah. We talking e-gaming? We are talking e-gaming. Man, I'm only part-time with 20 students. Shoot. So here's another important aspect, or an important piece of advice that I was given that I have to give everyone. And Fletch said this when he was heading out. It's just because, well, not every school is going to value esports or learn about esports to the point of value or paying you what you're worth. And that was a super janky way of saying there are going to be schools out there that will not be willing to pay more than $35,000 a year for a salary. There just aren't. There are schools out there that will not be willing to pay more. There are schools out there that have part-time athletic coaches who only make $4,000 a year in a stipend, and they'll never be more than that. And you as a coach or a director in the space, or a student looking to enter the space, have to have that realization when you're looking at positions, when you're in a position, is like, there's going to be schools that just will not pay more. All right. Aquinas people are fantastic. They are. How many students do you think you brought to Aquinas during your tenure? I brought 27 new students to Aquinas through those 2 years. So I was tracking the student tuition, taking out any scholarships we gave, any scholarships academics gave, my salary, program budget, anything we spent. I was bringing in $500,000 in additional revenue for the school after expenses. It was massive for a school. You look at Northwood, and their esports program is like 10% of their entire student population now. You're talking almost like school-changing numbers here. It's massive. But yeah, I was bringing in $500,000 in additional revenue because we weren't giving full rides. I don't give full rides now. Like, there's tuition dollars that come in. So we're not talking, and here I am making $38,000 a year. I'm trying to fight for part-time game coaches. It's ridiculous. I understand it. But there are going to be politics and HR behind that. But I had to come to the realization that Aquinas is just never going to pay me more or what I deserve to be paid. So, yeah, that's just a realization. If salary and further support is something you want and you're just not going to get it at your school, you have to realize, like, okay, I can sit here and deal with these barriers that have been put on me, or I can look for other opportunities that are willing to look at that. Oh, my wife finished dinner. I'm going to say 5 minutes. 5 more minutes. All right. 5 more minutes. I know we could talk about this for a whole hour. I know. And I promise you it'll come up as a topic on Twitter again in like 2 weeks, 3 weeks. And we'll do an entire episode on just collegiate coaches' salaries. Funny enough, Aquinas was the highest paying coaching offer I got after CLOL. I know. Right as I walked out, I got approved for coaches' stipends. And that was a potential reason why it was harder to take a new position. But, yeah, potential directors should be questioning the school on their dedication to the program. Absolutely. Like, one of my, like, in the interview process at Florida Southern, I was like, hey, so here's the deal. I don't want to go to a school that's not going to take this seriously after 2 years. Like, if I achieve your goals that you've set right now in 2 years, what's preventing you from saying no to anything else I ask for? And I have a significant concern about that because everyone in the space is doing that. And my boss's answer was like, you should be concerned. Like, but here's why that won't happen here. So that was a huge piece of it. Good realization can apply they're not going to value my work or pay me more. Yeah, to just about any job. Absolutely. 5 more minutes, Mom, I promise. It's online, Mom. I can't pause it. No, you guys, like, if you guys have any questions, like, I talk with a lot of collegiate coaches in the space. Like, I was just talking to one yesterday about salaries and what a position he was looking at. Like, everyone, thanks for stopping by, Colomer. I really appreciate you. Have you ever met Sam Morris? I have not. But I was just talking to a school or a coach yesterday. I talked quite a few. That actually happens a lot. People ask me, like, so what? I'm working on this interview. Like, what should be my talking points, etc. Like, this is the offer. Like, what do you think? And I'm always more than willing to share what I've kind of came to a realization on or what I've learned. I just went through the interview process at a couple different schools. I was actually in the interview process at Ohio State in the summer when they were hiring their media lead and coach. I interviewed at Arizona. I interviewed at Ohio Wesleyan. I've gone through some of these interview processes and I've kind of learned what questions that I need to ask, because the worst thing I want to do is get stuck in like a lateral move, like in collegiate too. Like, I want to make sure that I'm also kind of progressing while I'm young and have some energy left, that I'm progressing towards something bigger. So yeah, feel free to reach out with any questions. Like, I'm an open book. Like, I don't know if there's any more people or any other person that's as an open book as I am. So, can we see your cats? I locked them out. They were hungry. I had a cat. One of my cats was in here in the beginning of stream before you got there, but I'll try to get them and like plant them before my stream next week. To those in the space now, be sure to gather info on salaries in the space and negotiate. Yeah. So Carl Leone was a great example. He asked a ton of coaches what they were like, if they were willing and comfortable with sharing their salary, so he could use that with his boss to ask for a raise. I think that's a really good, like, that's just like asking for a raise 101, especially in a collegiate coaching setting like this. It's like, hey, these schools are paying their coaches this amount, and this is what they're achieving and the value they're bringing to their institution. Look at all the things I'm doing, and I'm making less. Let's talk this. Where's the baseline? Let's start with a baseline and go from there. I've had 30% increases over the last 18 months. That's massive. To think year one at Aquinas, every staff member got a 3% raise, and we were supposed to be stoked about it, even though inflation went up 5% that year. So it was technically a salary cut. What's for dinner? Burgers, homemade burgers, I think. Picked some up from Publix, the Southern grocery. Yeah, negative 2% raise. 3% not even inflation. Yeah, see? 100%. I can show my puppy if Adam lets me. Oh, Billy. I love your puppy. He's so cute. Everyone, I don't know if Billy streams, but maybe he'll post a picture of his puppy on his Twitter and you can all like it. What's for dinner? Shouldn't have asked. Yeah. I think like bacon cheddar burgers. Publix the Meyer of the South. Yeah, except like no cool stuff, just food. Pub subs, yes. I haven't had one yet. All right, guys. I hate to cut this short, but let's wait until the next time position gets put on it and we fire it up again, and we'll do a full episode on it in a couple weeks. I appreciate everyone for stopping by. Please, please, please reach out if you have questions. Reach out to anyone in chat if you have questions. Like, everyone is so willing to help. And we have a ton of work to do as a scene. But we're doing amazing stuff. Like, I struggle sometimes taking a step back and being like, how far, like, we've come a long way. We've done some really amazing things. We've made some students, some really, really good experiences for students. And we don't always celebrate that, but everyone's doing some really cool stuff. Thanks for joining. I'll let you guys all go. I'm going to go eat some dinner. I don't know why I keep doing this at 5 p.m., but maybe one day I'll learn. I love it. But next week we'll be back with whatever hot topic is being talked about on Twitter. If you guys got an idea for an episode and there's nothing really going around Collegiate Esports, I'm open to the idea. Shoot me a DM. But I bet there's going to be something spicy on Twitter next week. There always is. Thanks, guys. Special shout out to Andrew Vinavich, aka Lemon. He did all my graphics. He's a student up at Aquinas College. He's awesome. I paid him to do some. He did not do it for free or for exposure because that is wrong. I paid him. He did an amazing job, and I really appreciate him. Thanks, everybody, again. Good night. Have a good week. Good luck if your teams are competing. I'll talk to you later.